So this one is down, stop, guys, this one is down. This go. Hello everyone, welcome for another alternative scenarios ASMR video. For today I prepared something very interesting. It's about the Empire of Japan, but as an alternative scenario. What if the Empire of Japan had never fallen, or what if the Japan never surrendered in the Second World War, and how could this alter the Cold War? Well, if the Japanese imperial ambition had never fallen, it would have likely had significant consequences, not for itself, but also for the rest of the world. So let's explore this fictional scenario where Japanese Empire will remain a dominant force and never surrendered to United States in the Second World War. Well, actually, is that the Empire of Japan would continue its expansion. Here we have a map of the Empire of Japan at its peak in 1938, and Japan's imperial expansion during the late 19th and 20th century is and was very successful. The empire extends its control over vast areas of East Asia, including China, here, China, Korea, and parts of Southeast Asia. And here we have parts of China. Japan's military prowess would become unmatched in the region, with a formidable navy and army capable of defeating even the strongest armies of Soviet Union and United States. If they would never surrender to the United States, they would expand their territories, and they were utilizing advanced technologies and tactics to maintain dominance. Japan's control over key resources and trade routes in Asia, well, they would have important consequences in the strength of the Japan's economic power. So the empire would become a major economic player in trade with vital commodities such as oil, rubber, and precious minerals. Despite its military and economic might, the Japanese Empire would face challenges from resistance movements in its conquered territories, like China, Korea, Philippines, and Indochina, as well as from the rival powers such as Russia and United States and the European colonial empires. Without the setbacks that led to its defeat in the World War II, Japan would continue to expand its expansionist policies, and the empire aligns itself with other Axis power, leading to a prolonged conflict with Allied forces. The World War II in Europe ended in 9th of May 1945, but in history, the Second World War in the Pacific was a different scenario and ended in August. But if the Japan wouldn't be surrendered to the United States, the World War II will end after maybe a couple of years later. But now the important questions. Let's assume the Second World War will end it somehow with a peace between United States and Japan, without the United States to use the atomic bomb on Japan's soils. What would happen in this case in the next war, the Cold War? Because following the World War II, the world is divided into two spheres historically, but with Japan as a major player, it will divided in three spheres of influence between Allied powers and USSR and Japan. And Japan will emerge as a key player in the Cold War. That will be Japan, but with its strategic location and military capabilities, making it a focal point of tension between United States, USSR. Well, here are some controversial alternative scenarios. If this would happen, what and who will be on the side of Japan in the Cold War? Well, for example, if the Japanese Empire had not fallen at the end of World War II, it will have very profound implication in Cold War, because Japan will have managed to maintain its imperial rule over conquered territories in Asia, Korea, and Indochina, and it will emerge as a major power in the Pacific. With Japan as a dominant imperial power, the division of Asia would have been vastly different. Japan would likely have sought to expand its influence and counter Western colonial powers in Southeast Asia and Pacific. This could have led tension between Soviet Union and Japan. Because as both superpowers sought to establish their spheres of influence in the region. What about potential alliances? So, potential alliances of Japan. Well, given Japan's history rivalry with Russia, it's possible that Japan could have allied itself with United States to counter Soviet influence in Asia. This alliance would have further intensified the ideological and military confrontation in the Cold War. So, in this case, the balance of the Cold War will be on the side of the United States. Well, in terms of nuclear proliferation, Japan's might continued imperial rule prompted the accelerated development of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Even so, if they would ally with United States, they would have access to the American technologies of developing the nuclear weapons. This could have exacerbated the arms race and increased the likelihood of nuclear conflict in the region, but not between United States and Soviet Union, between Japan and Soviet Union. The persistence of Japanese imperialism would have fueled anti-colonial movements through entire Asia. Entire Asia, especially in Indochina Peninsula. These movements might have taken on a different character, potentially aligning with or against Japanese interest. So we have maybe guerrilla warfare. This will lead to weaken the influence and dominance of the Japanese in this area. The continued dominance of Japan could have brought in many parts stability, like in the Manchuria region, for example, while exacerbating conflicts in others like Indochina and maybe in the Indonesian and Philippines islands and Indonesia. Well, Japan will have the advantage of economic prowess and technological advancements, and this will transform it into a regional hegemon. Overall, the persistence of Japanese empire would have introduced significant complexities into an already volatile geopolitics of Cold War era. But as an alternative scenario, a war between Japan and Soviet Union were likely to happen in the Cold War if the Japan was a key player. It will likely have intensified the rivalry between the superpowers and reshape the balance of the influence in Asia. The lasting legacy of Japanese empire, continued dominance, will be a world shaped by Japanese culture, politics, and economics. The empire's influence will be felt across East Asia mostly, and beyond, with Japanese become a global superpower like Soviet Union and allies. However, such a scenario would also likely involve significant human suffering, as the empire's authoritarian rule and aggressive expansion would have resulted in widespread oppressions and local conflicts. But the eventual decline of the Japanese empire, whether through internal collapse or external pressure, will have left a complex legacy that continues to influence global affairs for generations to come. And maybe in the present day, we would have talked about a lasting empire, the Empire of Japan, as a major global economic key player and a military superpower. Well, this was an ASMR video focused on alternative scenarios. So, in this case, it was like Japan would rule some of the 1/4 of the global area. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I do, and thank you very much for enjoying and for watching. And if you stayed and watched until now, at this point, I think you might be my next subscriber. So hit the subscribe button and support me in this way, because it's the only support that I'm asking for. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I wish you all the best, all the